I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm one less day from dying young. I see the light go past my shoulder. I'm one less day from dying young. I see my life like a train on a one-way track. I've made mistakes and I couldn't take them back, and I've been running around in circles till I'm dizzy, I can't lie. But every night I go to sleep's a day that I survive. I'm not afraid of getting older. I'm one less day from dying young. I see the light go past my shoulder. I'm one less day from dying young.
Emily has always been a bit stubborn. I don't know if it's the red hair, who knows, but one time she threw, I think it was a vegetable, off of her high chair, and we put her in timeout, turning her towards the wall, and she stayed there for over an hour in complete silence because she didn't want to apologize. We suspected from very early on that Emily was an overachiever because almost every time we went to back to school night and the kids had all the projects on their desks, her desk would be covered with 2 of each project. And the first time I asked the teacher, I said, why does she have 2 of each project? And the teacher said, well, Emily is always quick to understand the instructions. She'll start the project and finish it, and there's still time, so I have her do another project. Or she'll help the person next to her or another person in the class.
We always knew Emily was really capable. Shortly after we moved to Dallas, we had just moved into our new house. Emily was probably 16, 17 months old or so. And we realized one morning when we were still in bed that she was able to get herself out of bed, go downstairs into the refrigerator, get the refrigerator open. Don't know how she did that. She weighed all of about 25 pounds. Got herself back upstairs in the dark to our bedroom and stood next to our bed sucking on this sippy cup. And if you remember the old days, these things made awful noises, so of course it had no choice but to wake us up. Well, our immediate reaction was to get up and figure our day was starting, but then as Elizabeth started to roll over, I quickly grabbed her and said, shh. I said, if we don't say anything, maybe she'll just go away. And sure enough, eventually she did, went off, and was able to occupy herself for an hour or so more until we woke up. And she did a lot of things like that as she was young, and showing that she was really capable of doing things we didn't think were possible.
Em has always been a textbook big sister for me. She's always been caring and helpful. For example, my first year of college, when I had to do my first load of laundry ever, I scheduled a FaceTime call with her just so that she can tell me exactly what to do with my hands and I wouldn't mess up my laundry. Another time, she kept me company when I was in the hospital long term, and we had a blast just watching old TV shows and talking about music. Speaking of music, one of the most remarkable traits that Em has is that she's a song encyclopedia. I can't tell you how many times I've just put on a completely obscure song and then she just starts singing to it. She's a great sister, rugby player, person, and I know she will succeed in her future endeavors.
I was laughing so hard looking at videos of Emily as a kid. She was so funny. We'd put her in her pajamas to go to bed, but she'd always wake up in something else, and usually she had several layers, and it would be like her dance clothes or something. And the other thing she did is she would line all her dolls and stuffed animals up on the bed, and she'd be on the very edge. Oh, and in addition to that, she would have reorganized all her drawers.
And I'm reminded back to her junior year in high school when she was juggling both rugby and softball in the same season in spring. You know, 3-4 hours a day, and then have to come home and do her studies and everything at night once she got home. And of course it was pretty taxing. So as the softball tryouts were going and Emily was juggling the schedule, it became pretty obvious that this was going to be hard to carry both sports in the spring. So at the end of tryouts, Emily went into Coach Teresa and decided that she was going to retire from softball. And she basically told Emily that what she had planned for her was to be a full-time pinch runner for the pitcher, and that Emily would get in and run every time Johanna would get on base, and that would just be the extent of Emily's playing time. So Emily came home that night and decided that she was going to try to still juggle both sports. So if you fast forward towards the end of the season, the team is still undefeated. They're having a fantastic season. So when Johanna got on first base and took over as pinch runner, and she didn't even wait. First pitch, she took off. got it at second base safely, and then on the very next pitch, her teammate hit a really hard shot to center field. Emily barreled around third, scored standing, but nonetheless, that was the only run. They ended up winning that game 1-0. Thinking back on how easy it would have been for her to hang up and not play softball that season, I don't know how their team would have, or how their season would have turned out had she decided not to play. But Coach Teresa was right. She challenged Emily that she was going to have a small but critical part on that team. Emily took the challenge, and at the end, they were successful.
One of my favorite memories of Emily is when we were really young. We would play this game where my brother and I would pretend to be dogs, and she would pretend to be our owner. I was Gus, the bulldog, and Nicholas was Louie, the beagle. And let me tell you, we were pretty bad dogs. We were always misbehaving, and Emily would take everything that we could throw at her, both literally and figuratively, and she would love us all the same. And I'm sure this comes as a surprise to absolutely no one, because she's grown up to be such a kind, loving, and gentle person. Emily, I love you. You will always be an inspiration for the kind of person that I want to be.